Hi, and welcome to the Divinely Inspired Woman podcast. I am your host, Patricia Wald-Hopkins. I am a modern mystic, and I am here to share with you the beautiful wisdom and stories from women that desire to lead their lives inspired by the divine within them. The divinely inspired woman is devoted to walking the path of her soul's calling, tuning into the divinity within to navigate life with ease and grace through all circumstances. She cultivates beauty in her daily life. She is here to share the most authentic self each day through thick and thin. So I hope you'll enjoy our show today and that you will leave with an infusion of inspiration for your soul and for your day and living your life. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Divinely Inspired Woman. My name's Patricia Wald-Hopkins and I'm your host today, and I have a very special guest, Bonnie Melita. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her before we go ahead and have a wonderful conversation here today. So Bonnie is a constant student of life and all things spiritual. She was raised on an organic farm by a mama who taught her to love the earth and be a good steward of the land. Oh, I love that. Always fascinated with the possibilities of the human body, she spent much of her life studying dance and acting, becoming a leading actress and choreographer for a professional theater company at the age of 18. Wow. She went on to become the artistic director of the company for the last 2 of her 6 years there. She also worked in the film industry with a short stint as a stunt actress. Oh my, that's cool. She spent the last 22 years as a yoga teacher, during which time she also led and certified yoga teacher trainings and performing and teaching internationally with a yoga dance company. Also delving into the healing arts, she is a certified body talk practitioner and Reiki master and has been enjoying that aspect of human potential. Bonnie has spent the last 10 years serving the divine through caring for her beloved mom. She is currently in metamorphosis, moving into the next phase of her fascinating life on this planet with great excitement and anticipation. And she is also the author of 2 books, Don't Panic, How to Use Yoga to Survive the College Experience, and the fully illustrated children's book, The Good Witch Ella. She is super excited also, we're going to talk about this, to be part of the soon-to-be released book, collaborative book called Stories of the Goddess, the Divine Feminine Frequency Keepers. Wow, you've had a rich life. And it seems like you're just getting going here. So yeah, that's amazing.
My engine's revving.
Right. So tell me a little bit about yourself, and thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. And a little about myself. Gosh, I don't know. You said it all. Um, and yeah, I am in sort of a metamorphosis right now,
Mm-hmm.
a turning point in my life. Because my major goddess guide, feminine wisdom that I always, followed and looked up to was my mom. And we do still, it's only been a few months. And so we do still have a very close connection and interaction, even to this day. But I did spend quite a number of years where I stopped everything I was doing and took care of her because she needed it. And that's what she did for me. When I was small and couldn't do for myself, she dropped everything and took care of me. So it just seemed like the obvious thing to do to me. And I could not be happier. It's really, as I look back at my life, yes, I've had a very rich and varied life, but that I have to say has been my absolute biggest blessing in my life is the time that I got to spend with her and helping her and caring for her. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel that. You're have a very compassionate heart. I can feel that. Yeah. And would you say that you mentioned that she was the goddess for you,
And
and
still is.
and still is for you, and along that, is she like, did she teach you how to be connected to the divine, or is that something that you feel has happened just from life experiences? Or
No, she absolutely guided me through that. And I will say, I don't really refer to her in past tense because I don't believe that anything that ever lives can stop living,
yes,
not in this physical apparatus that we have.
right,
But
right.
she still is very, very much alive and guiding me. And yes, she absolutely um, guided me to more of a spiritual connection with the earth and with everything. I grew up in South Georgia, so it's the Bible Belt, and she grew up there as well. And so, she certainly had a healthy reverence for God, and
Mm-hmm.
as we were exposed to that aspect of divinity.
Yeah.
Um, Being in the South, she certainly had a healthy respect for that, but she didn't necessarily always buy into the ways of connecting with it. Like I remember, and I mentioned this, I think, in my chapter, she would take me out into the woods early in the morning and, to search for spider webs with dew on them because
Mm,
was so wonderfully magical and not to be missed. And so she would stand there in the woods, sometimes she would just throw her arms open, her head back, and say, "Oh, isn't this just more beautiful than anything man could ever build?"
oh wow.
So what a powerful lesson that was from a very early age. And, if it wasn't spider dew on spider webs, it was something, it was always something. And she did raise me on an organic farm. And so there was much every day to be done and many lessons to be learned about how to care for the earth and how to be a good steward of that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's not just dirt, that it should be teeming with life. And if it's
Yes.
cared for properly, it is. And if it's not cared for properly, it might not be so much. So, and so she just really understood because she also really connected me a lot with Native American teachings. She had that in her genetic history. And
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't really raised with it. She started to seek that out and shared it with me. And she loved the idea that there was a divine aspect in everything, and that made sense to me. And I remember I was on a break from college and I had come home and I remember being out in the yard on the ground and I was just watching a little ant crawl by and it suddenly hit me so clearly. I thought, of course, that's why the Native Americans believed that there was a God in everything because my mom, being an artist, I learned and saw a lot about art and artists and their work. And noticed how you can tell a Picasso from a Degas or whatever it is, right? Or a Monet,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever. And and that's because there's a piece of that artist in everything
Yes.
they create. And
Oh,
so I thought, but of course, there's God in everything because if God made everything, why wouldn't there be God in everything? So why wouldn't we celebrate that and uplift that and acknowledge that divine aspect of everything? You can call it a god or a goddess or whatever you want to call it, but that divine peace, that divine spark in everything. And
mm-hmm.
that is how I was raised from forever, because that was how she saw things. I just remember having that moment, that epiphany moment where for being an artist. And she actually went to college with me. I was studying theater and dance, and she was studying visual arts. And
Oh
so,
wow.
and we were so lucky because all of the arts were housed in the same building. So we had so much interaction between all of the arts. And so I was just being submerged in that. And of course, with her being in the pottery studio or the painting studio or wherever, and I was always, she, oh, come see what I did, and I, go to see, and then I'm seeing what everybody else did. And so having so much saturation with all of the arts and seeing that sort of common thread of like, even me as an actress, it's like I could play a role and somebody else could play the same role. And it's going to be slightly different because we bring a piece of ourselves into that.
Sure. Right.
So that connection, it just like lit up for me that day. So
That's beautiful.
everything she had been teaching me my whole life suddenly went, oh, got it. Thanks, Mom.
It just clicked, right? It's that moment where it actually like locks into your body, right? And it just, changes the whole way that your biochemistry even is set up, I think.
Like step forward from that point on in a totally different way. Like every foot
Right.
is different now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I find that, fascinating as you were speaking. It feels like that, and I know we're going to talk about your book chapter, and I know it's called For the Love of Mama, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like you have, and this might be a little out there, but it feels like you've had like a lot of lives with your mother. I mean, like you've spent, if we were talk about timelines or other lifetimes, it feels like you have a really deep connection with her.
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain all of that, but yes, it has to be more than just me in this body and her in that body in
Yeah.
particular existence. It has to be much more than that because it has always been so deep. I cannot remember ever a moment in my existence in this body that it wasn't just this super deep, rich connection.
Yeah, I know. I work with Akashic records a lot, and kind of delving into the past, past lives and things like that. But that just came up, and it felt, appropriate to share that little nugget with you. But tell me a little bit about this book chapter now. What without giving it away, all because we want people to read it. But what inspired you to write this chapter, and for Radha's book?
Well, I, as with everything in my life, and I give thanks to my mom for this, but as with everything in my life, I sort of have a tendency to view everything differently than most people that I meet. And I have a different sort of interpretation and spin on things. And so my mom leaving her body was no different. Like that wasn't an exception. And I found immediately that the words that we use for all of that felt so inadequate and
Mm,
off the actual point of what I was experiencing. And the words that felt right for me just came out of my mouth.
mm,
Um, so, like when I would, call to let someone know, I would say, "Mom flew away with the angels."
mm, mm-hmm.
That's that's how it felt for me.
Right.
It's the D word was like is like a an atrocity to me because
Yeah.
it feels so not applicable.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the first thing that I noticed. Like it couldn't be spoken that way. And so from there it was one thing after another, after another, after another. And then with the requests that she had always made in regards to what she wanted done when she did eventually leave her body, um, that was a whole different thing also. I mean, she always said she wanted to be thrown in the compost pile. Because as an avid organic gardener and an avid, obviously, you've already gotten the picture that she really wanted to not leave a huge footprint.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
having sort of figured out with her ahead of time, kind of maybe how that could be done, and the process that was gone through, and how we celebrated her, and the whole everything of it,
Mm.
just was a bit different, which was fun too, because going back to South Georgia, and of course, family and friends from there coming, and you know
Right.
they knew we had always done things differently. So I think they kind of were like, okay, so how, what is this going to be like? But they were so wonderfully supportive, and so open, and so joyful,
Oh.
in doing this in the way that it needed to be done, to respect mom's wishes, as well as to respect what I needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so the chapter was born out of that experience.
Okay.
And I was actually speaking to Radhaa. I knew her previously because I had done, about a year ago, I had done a summit called the Inner Goddess Summit, where I was actually on a quest to sort of find out for myself, well, what is that goddess?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean, divine feminine archetype? Okay, so I don't know. I don't know the answers. So let me talk to women whom I respect, and who do work
Mm-hmm.
respect, and let's see, what do they say, and let's see if we can get a better handle on this. And
Yeah.
so that's where I found Radhaa. And so we had developed a relationship through that. And
Beautiful.
so she knew what was going on with me caretaking mom, and so she had approached me about writing the chapter, or writing
Mm-hmm.
a chapter,
Mm-hmm.
while mom was still here. And at that time, mom was very much like, for the first time in my life, um, not encouraging me to do all the things that I, could invent that I wanted to do,
Uh-huh.
and really just needing me to focus on her.
And
So I
focus.
told Radhaa, let me think about it. So I told mom, and that was the only thing. She looked me straight in the eye.
Oh.
It took her about 30 seconds, maybe. And she said, you need to do that.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So
Got
then,
chills. Yeah.
mm, she said, yeah, this one you need to do. So I got back with Radhaa and said, yes, I'll do it. I would love to, would be honored to, and had no idea what I was going to be writing. No idea that mom was going to be leaving her body, that soon. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I really was sort of, felt like I didn't know. I mean, I knew I should do it because mom had the vision to know that I should do it, and I trusted
Yes.
that,
Yes.
because I knew she was connected enough that there was a reason she said do it. But I thought, what am I going to do? How am I? Oh, yeah, la, 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 all of that chatter. And so,
Right. The process of writing, right? What am
so
I going to write?
Radhaa, in her beautiful, wonderfully compassionate self and supportive woman that she is, called me to see how I was doing. And, I, was telling her, she was asking me how things went, and I was telling her the story. And she just, at one point, she said, Bonnie, this is so beautiful. Would you consider, I mean, if it's not too soon for you, would you consider writing that for your chapter? Because
Wow.
I don't know that it can be done this way. And I think people are looking for that. And it just immediately, like, my heart sang.
Mm.
For my heart to sing about anything at that moment was,
Right. Yes. Yes.
so I
Yes.
said, yes, I will. And I'm so glad I did. Um, it just was so wonderfully healing and cathartic, and just really helped me to really figure out a lot of the connections to things that I may not have figured out, or wouldn't have figured them out at least as quickly as I did. And I absolutely, when I would sit down to write, absolutely ask mom to come and help me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I really should put her name on the chapter as well, not just mine. But because she totally was. I mean, she was so absolutely present, and I could hear her speaking to me, and telling me things. And so
That's
that was how it came
beautiful.
about. And the title, just seems so, I don't know if this is a southern thing or not, but we have this saying, we
I
say, oh, for the
feel,
love of Pete, but it just seemed to me like, for the love of mama.
yeah, yeah. It makes
And
me think of honeybees for some reason, and I don't know why.
well, she kind of had a very honey-like smell to her, so maybe there's some connection.
Yeah, no, I love that. Wow. I can't wait to read your chapter. It feels like it was a beautiful healing, or like it allowed you to honor the transition, right? The from body to spirit and still being with you, but that's just, yeah, that's very sacred writing for
Yes, it is.
sure.
And it doesn't mean, I don't want anybody to get confused and think that I don't, that would just erase all grief, because it absolutely does
Right.
help.
No, no, we're humans. Yes, yes, yes.
I do still have my moments, and I do still go, but I want her physical body here. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I imagine that her signature is her frequency is in that chapter with you, right? Yeah, I can feel. And I'm so glad that you shared that, so people who listen to this and who read your chapter can know that there's an extra special aspect
Mhm.
to every word in that chapter. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. Is there anything else about the writing process that you feel you'd like to share? I mean, did it open you? I know it was very healing and helped you to process and where you're at in life. But did it open up anything for you? Like sometimes people say when they write a book, it's like it's transformative, right?
It opened my eyes, and not the physical ones.
Mhm.
It did opened my understanding and my awareness of a lot of what it really made me understand. First of all, a lot of why she had the requests that she had
Okay.
about that time,
Mhm.
because I never really understood. But I gained an understanding, because as I endeavored to write about that experience, it brought me into a focus that I probably would not have gotten into otherwise, which helped me to, really laser focus on, what exactly had transpired both in that time, and how it really circled back and connected all the dots, of
Mm.
things in my entire life.
Wow.
I'm just really curious to see, like, now, like, where the dots are going to, because
Yeah. So do you have a sense?
maybe, I don't know.
We'll save that for another.
And I'm reserving too much commenting about it, just because I'm
Yeah, it's
giving
magical.
giving myself a year to sort of adjust.
Yeah. Honoring that space with you as well. Definitely. Yeah. It's beautiful. Um, I'm just gonna check in here with spirit and see if there's something else that and I want you to also just to check in and see if there's something else that you'd like to share about. Um, it feels like it's something about how you you would like for this chapter to touch others. Like, what is your hope from this?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is an important one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sensing that. Yes, my hope, um, is that what I discovered going through that process of all the things that need to be done when someone leaves, is that there are so many opportunities to pay someone for you not to deal with it.
Mm, mm,
There's so many aspects that we in our culture, at least here in the United States, can't, or at least my experience of it has been, there are so many opportunities for for us not to deal with any of that. And there are industries waiting, to catch you and charge you lots and lots of money for you not to have to deal with it. But my experience has been that dealing with it was ultimately so beautiful.
Mm.
And I would, I would absolutely kick myself if I came to the end of my time in this body and made that journey and then looked back and saw what I had missed by not just looking all of it square in the face.
Wow.
And not to say that I didn't have plenty of trepidation, not to say that I loved, looking all of it in the face, and not to say that it was easy,
Mm-hmm.
but it was worth it.
Wow.
Absolutely worth it. And um, I just would love if people can read this chapter and be empowered to, when and if they need to make those decisions and do those actions. I would really love if they are empowered enough to do it in the way that feels good to them, not in the
Mm-hmm.
way that our society has grown accustomed to doing it.
Mm. I love that. Yeah. Creating a different legacy, right? For the way that we move forward and honoring. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's just so many, if you really start looking at, more traditional methods of doing these things, I mean, there are so many things that are so wonderfully healing that we don't do anymore,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And it's unfortunate. And I could see very clearly um as I was making those steps in my life, I could really see so clearly that it's it's financially based.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, if it's financially based, that we are encouraged not to do X, Y, and Z. Because if we don't do X, Y, and Z, then there are industries that make a lot of money off of that. And it's the last thing that you need to do
Mm-hmm.
at that time is,
Worry.
yeah, I
Worry
mean,
about money, right?
yes, and to even be told certain things that you can potentially be told, and just be empowered to say no and go to someone else who can help and who's willing to listen. I was so fortunate to have someone who not only did she listen, but she cared.
Yeah.
She literally gave me her cell phone number and said, after our first conversation, she said, "You know what, your brain is fried right now. I know, I can tell. So I want you to take everything we have talked about and just go sit with it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not so scattered, when your brain is not so fried, call me back and we'll move forward from there." And I thought, wow, what a blessing.
Yeah. It's a compassionate.
Mhm.
Yeah, it feels like when you say that, and you can correct me, but it's just a deeper, richer cherishing of who, our essence, our being, and those that we love, right? And we're all together in a celebration, and
Mhm.
time and money are not the guiding force for that process. At least that's how I feel when you speak. And I really appreciate you sharing that, because yeah, my parents are in their 80s now. And those things start to be talked about. And I'm really grateful for you sharing this. And I haven't read the chapter yet, but I most certainly will. And I know it's coming out. The book is pre-releasing March 23rd. That's next week. This podcast will come out actually the day after that pre-sale release. But how can people reach out to you if they want to connect with you further and learn more about you?
Well, they can go to my website at www.bonikiseno.com, and I will spell that because it's a tricky one. It's Q-U-I-C-E-N-O.
Okay.
Or they could email me, Bonnie@bonikiseno.com.
Okay, and I will have that in the text for the podcast, so people can see that there as well. And the book, the availability of the book, will you have a link on your site or anything in case people want to grab that chapter and read the whole book too?
And they should read the whole book because, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to have some good stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the book.
Yeah, okay, well, wonderful. Well, thank you again for taking the time to sit with me here today and share about this. I really feel honored to listen to you speak about cherishing life this way. It's very beautiful. So,
it's a gift. It's a gift.
gift.
That, we all will eventually go through if we have, parents that we are around.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's wow. It is a gift, and that's
Right.
not something that we hear very often, that it is a gift.
Right.
But I would like to say thank you to you, Patricia, and I would also like to say thank you to Radhaa Publishing House,
Yes.
because they have connected me with you and so many other just dynamic women, and they've been such a joy to work with.
Definitely. Very, very blessed by all of this beautiful community that Radhaa Publishing House has created. So we send out much love to Radhaa and all of those in the publishing house and to all the authors of this book. And yeah, everybody, you've got to get a copy. So stay tuned for that. And again, thank you everyone for tuning in for this episode of The Divinely Inspired Woman. And I will be back next time. Much love to you all. Many blessings. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Divinely Inspired Woman. Again, I am your host, Patricia Wald-Hopkins, and I am so glad that you joined us here today. I hope you left with some soul food to inspire your daily life. And if you would like to learn more about my work, please check out my website, patriciawaldhopkins.com, and you can find out more about my divinely inspired practice and tools. So, thank you again. Have a beautiful day. Hi. I'm dropping in here with an announcement about a program, a new mentorship that I am offering. It's called Voices of Gaia, and it's about bringing your voice, your leadership, your life in alignment with Gaia's guidance. So if you feel called to learn more about this program, it's a beautiful, rich program where we dive into your essence, and if you so desire, we develop your business around it and really blossom into your whole lifestyle, this wisdom from Gaia that wants to be spoken through you. So if you feel called, reach out to me at patricia@patriciawaldhopkins.com. That's patricia@patriciawaldhopkins.com. There's no hyphen between Wald and Hopkins. And I would just love to hear from you and see if this is a good fit. So thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful day.